I'd like to know, what were you doing with this? They're running guinea pigs?
It was up and down, I think I was saying.
Can't we all just get along for 5 fucking minutes?
But we did have a car scene after the funeral. There was a post-funeral car scene, and I remember liking the idea of having all 3 of them in a car and not be able to escape, but we had to cut that because it was too much. So when we said, "Oh, let's do car scenes," that's great because we wanted to have them sort of unable to escape from each other.
And actually, it's funny. If we had had that other car scene, the characters would not have been at their. I mean, that's not really the moment to play that card. And by playing that card here, when they're at their emotional peak, and they're really angry, and everything's kind of on the surface, I think it works nicely to sort of take them and stuff them into a very tight, cramped little space.
It's just funny how I think it all just worked out perfectly.
Well, that's the night. I mean, that's sometimes there are happy accidents that happen in a shoot, and you just kind of have to go with them.
This is actually right outside where we shot the interior car thing, right outside the studio. Yeah, I love the end.
This is New Deal Studios in Venice, California.
I mean, it just makes you feel like this for him, not to get too artsy, but like for him, this is a dead end for him. This is where it's all going to just explode. And your performance in this is fantastic.
Well,
because it's not short. You know, you go through the gamut of emotions here, and they all the peaks are hit. Exactly, it's wonderful.
That's nice of you to say.
Patrick, what?
This is when it all kind of comes out here.
You know, you guys are as bad as the rest of
We played with this scene in editing a lot too. I mean, it may not feel like it, but you know, in trying to shape this moment a little bit, although you guys, it was mostly there, but just trying to finesse it a little bit in editing. Timmy really built the tension nicely, I think, and then built this little monologue nicely, and then the music kind of seeps in underneath, which I like.
Until he got his hooks into you. Patrick, what? Seriously?
This is like, what, 35 years of frustration just coming out.
Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Just get back in the car.
I think this was the last thing we shot in the movie.
Yeah. Yes.
It was like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
The sound man threatening to run.
Yeah.
So you actually had a lot of pressure on top of you shooting this.
James
you
pulled
get
me
it right
aside
for 3 minutes?
James pulled me aside, and I remember him saying, "Look, no pressure, but the faster you can get this out, the better." And I said, "What do you mean, like quickly?" He's like, "No. Takes. I don't have a lot of time. I need you to get this done." And he didn't say it as cold as I'm saying it. He really was genuinely.
To you.
Yeah,
he turned to me and he said, "If Paul screws this up."
Well, this was because this was the end of the day. I mean, we ran out of money. We went down for a week. We came back for a day. And we had to cram all of the existing material into one day, and it ended up being a 16, 17-hour day. And this was the final thing we had to shoot. And our sound guy had a 5 a.m. call the next day on another movie.
This was about 1:30 in the morning, if I memory serves.
1:30 or 2. So everyone was a little
frazzled.
Breaking up one of the most wonderful. Patrick.
That's real concrete, fella.
Yeah. Did you get stunt pay for that?
You know what's really hard is trying to figure out how.
Well, I guess technically this was the last shot because now the sound there was no sound on this.
Veteran,
Kirk Moody,
veteran and character actor Kirk Moody.
Kirk Moody, ladies and
gentlemen. What's ironic about this shot? Okay, so this is the last shot of the movie. The sound guy had to leave because he had another shoot the next morning. I'm ready to go, but we've got the AD and the grips going, "No, we got to do another take. Yeah. Come on, let's just do one more," which was weird because I would have thought that everyone would have wanted to go home.
Right now.
But they were the ones pushing us to stay.
Yeah, it's
this is another last shot of the evening.
I think a lot of this is in Rhode Island, right?
This is Rhode Island.
Last day of the Rhode Island.
Tommy does such a great job here. It's almost a shame
that
we're not facing him, but it's still such a beautiful shot. He does so much here, and right back at you for the nice words you said earlier.
That's $1.
There you go.
However, I will say this: the reason I think production has that attitude is what's not universally known about filmmaking. I think to the public's knowledge is how much everybody once you get on board, everybody wants it to be good. Everybody's trying to do the best job they can in the situation and solving problems and trying to get the best product because everybody wants it to be good. It is a community effort. You can't, you know, I'm not a big fan of a film by, but I understand that that's important to some people, but a film is by a lot of people. A lot of people. And I think that it reflects in low-budget filmmaking especially. I'm using that word. I hope it's not taken negatively, but those words. But I think it's important to realize that a lot of people give of themselves when you're doing this level of production. And you, as a group, as a performer, you're on screen all the time, but there's so many people trying to do their jobs to make everything work well, and I'm talking over your beautiful scene.
No, this is
so you can rewind it. And
any like aspiring actors out there. This is the first time I had ever done a long piece before, and the single greatest lesson that I took away from this is that you do your over the shoulder shots one at a time, and we did John first. So John did his whole thing. The camera's not on me at all. And I pour everything I have into this scene to the point where spontaneous tears are rolling down my face. And the scene, you know, John does it on the second take. He looks at me like, with almost tears in his eyes and said, "Thank you for giving me that to act off of." And, okay, let's flip it around. We're going to do Tom now. And I went, "Oh my God, I got nothing left in the can now. I got nothing left here." You
What's
know?
in the tank?
So I definitely had to pace around a little bit and say, you know, let's find that little thing. But that you don't if you haven't done.
Save it for your
film is be very selfish. No, no, I'm not saying that at all.
I know what you mean. You're saying that.
But it's something that you wouldn't think that okay, well I should always give every little bit, and you should. You always be generous, very generous with everyone you're working with. But
rumor has it that you know. Well,
now, was it now, Tom? Was it cold when you shot this?
Oh,
I'm getting the sense by looking at this footage that it might have been a little chilly.
Let me tell you, it was cold.
It was right on the water.
We were on the water.
Right on the water. Yeah. We were at a restaurant, I believe, and we're all out. Or it was a country club.
Yeah, on the roof.
On the roof.
At the yacht club.
And I'm from New England. I'm actually from Connecticut, and there is a cold that happens in New England. A cold that is bone chilling. It
unspeakable.
It's like Cthulhu. It's unspeakable. And I have to say that this was one of those nights, and we've all been on the West Coast for so long, we get the term
thin blood.
Thin blood. And let me tell you, man, we were cold.
Yeah, we really were.
Now, Tommy, what's interesting story-wise, too, is that this is the only moment, and I'll talk about this again in a little bit, but this is also the only moment that you and John, or Kirby and Alden have alone.
Yeah.
Without Patrick.
This part of John's dialogue here is just, I'm just amazed by the man. This is fantastic. There's a certain ugly that happens when you're really genuinely worked up, where every bit of cool drops away from you as a human being, and your voice cracks, and you just are just impossibly awkward. And he finds that here very genuinely, and I've watched the scene probably 10,000 times, and every time I'm just.
Well, what's nice about the moment is he uncorks the bottle too, after having played Alden so reserved in the background. Reactive, and here, you know, it all comes out.
The other funny thing about this scene, though, and thank God for the director that we had with. I had done a couple takes of it, and I had used up some of the tank. I was not very happy, and I did the second take, and we were out of time. It was late. It was time to go home. Everybody was exhausted, and I went up to James with tears in my eyes. I probably should have used that and I went, "Give me one more take. Just give me one more time." And he looked at Josh, and they looked at like this little puppy who was just so sad, and went, "All right,
we'll give it to you
we'll
for
do
$1."
More. And
give us $1. You can have one more take.
But I think that's important. I think there's I don't think people realize that in the acting world as well, or the movie making world as well. There's no harm in saying, "I think I could do that better." I think I can make that clearer. That's good stuff, man. That's a good relationship.
It's tough. It's tough at the end of the day, though, because you're also dealing with people that have been
Everyone
working.
wants to go home. Everybody's tired.
This day started at, I think, like 6 or 7, because all the stuff in the beginning of the movie, them on the street, the walking and talking scene right before we go in the bar, that was all done in this one day, and it was a very long day.